The world is full of women, but not every woman is unforgettable. Not every woman carries that rare light, that unshakable energy, that quiet power which makes people stop and look deeper. Most are simply existing, following the patterns given to them, seeking validation, chasing attention, trying to fit into molds that were never designed for them. But you woman is different. She is rare. She is the exception. She does not just live, she embodies. She does not just speak, she commands respect without asking for it. And you feel it the moment she walks into the room. The atmosphere changes. Not because of what she wears, not because of her beauty, but because of her presence. She knows her worth and she does not negotiate it. She knows her standards and she does not lower them. She knows her value and she does not let anyone tell her otherwise. And this, my sisters, is the message of today. To stop blending into a world that wants you small, and instead step into the woman you were always meant to be. The woman who carries herself with dignity, who walks with strength, and who inspires growth everywhere she goes. The world is full of women, but today I want to show you how to become the one who cannot be ignored. Herbs buckles a hive. You woman does not wait for the world to tell her she is valuable. She already knows it. She doesn't measure her worth by likes, compliments, or the attention of men. Her worth is internal, unshakable, and rooted in the understanding that she is whole on her own. This is the first and most powerful sign of a hive. You woman, she does not beg for validation. Think about the world we live in today. Social media, magazines, and society constantly bombard women with the idea that they are not enough, that they need more makeup, more followers, more approval, more beauty standards to be considered worthy. Most people get lost in this illusion. They chase validation endlessly, trying to prove themselves to others. But a hive, you woman, she breaks free from this cycle. She does not live her life as a performance for the world. She lives her life as an expression of who she truly is. This doesn't mean she ignores compliments. She appreciates them, but she is not addicted to them. Her confidence does not rise and fall based on how many people notice her. Because she has done the inner work, she knows her worth without needing applause. When you know your worth, you automatically set standards. You no longer tolerate disrespect. You no longer chase people who don't see your value. You no longer waste time explaining your worth to people who are blind to it. Instead, you walk away with dignity, and this walking away is what creates true power. People often wonder why some women seem magnetic, why they attract respect and admiration effortlessly. It's because of this inner knowing. When you respect yourself, people mirror it. When you value yourself, people rise to that level or they fall away. And you woman is never afraid of people falling away because she knows losing people who do not respect her is not a loss. It's a filter. This sign is not about arrogance. You woman is not proud because she thinks she is better than others. She is grounded, she is secure, she knows her worth the way the sun knows it shines. The sun does not need to remind anyone of its light, it just radiates. You woman radiates the same way, and the most powerful part is this: when she knows her worth, she is free. Free from desperation, free from toxic attachments, free from manipulation, because no one can control a woman who is not desperate for their approval. If you are listening to this and you feel that desperation sometimes, remind yourself, your worth was never meant to be defined by someone else's opinion. It is defined by how you see yourself, by how you live your truth, by the standards you uphold. The moment you stop begging for validation is the moment you step into the true power of being a high you woman. This is the first sign, and without it, none of the others matter. Because every other trait of a high you woman flows from this foundation, the inner knowing that you are enough, even when no one claps for you. One of the clearest signs of a high you woman is her ability to set boundaries. She knows that not everyone deserves access to her time, her emotions, or her energy. In a world where so many people say yes to everything and end up drained, a high you woman is different. She understands that saying no is not rude, it is an act of self-respect. Why is this so powerful? Because people will always test your limits. Friends, family, colleagues, even partners, they all will see how much they can take. Not because they are evil, but because human nature pushes people to see where the line is drawn. And if you do not draw the line, you will find yourself giving away everything until you are left empty. But a high you woman refuses to be emptied. She refuses to compromise her peace for people who do not respect it. She is clear about what she allows and what she does not. If a man tries to manipulate her emotionally, she distances herself. If a friend only comes around to use her energy without giving anything back, she reduces access. If work becomes toxic to the point it damages her soul, she chooses her well-being over false security. This is what makes her different. She does not tolerate environments that kill her spirit. Now, understand this clearly. Boundaries are not walls. A high you woman is not cold, distant, or selfish. She is giving, loving, and compassionate, but only to those who respect her energy. She does not waste kindness on people who trample it. She invests her energy like a queen invests her resources strategically, carefully, wisely. And here's the truth. When you set boundaries, people who are not meant for you will leave. At first, this feels painful. Many women confuse boundaries with rejection. They think, if I say no, people will stop liking me, and yes, some will. But those who leave because of your standards were never truly with you in the first place. The right people do not get offended when you value yourself. They respect you more for it. This is why boundaries are magnetic. They filter out the wrong people and draw in the right ones. Weak boundaries attract users, manipulators, and energy drainers. Strong boundaries attract respect, loyalty, and deep connections. And a high you woman understands this at her core. Think about it like a garden. If you never build a fence, anyone can walk in and destroy it. Animals can eat the plants, strangers can trample the flowers. But when you build a fence, you protect the beauty inside. That fence is not to keep out everyone. It is to guard what matters most. Boundaries are the same. They protect your peace, your energy, your life force. And when a woman protects her energy, she rises. She becomes unstoppable. Because her energy is no longer wasted on drama, arguments, or people who don't deserve her time. She channels that energy into her growth, her goals, and her vision. This is why you women seem to achieve more, to glow more, to live more fully. It's not luck, it's boundaries. There will always be people who do not like it when you enforce boundaries. They will call you selfish, difficult, or too strong. But a you woman is not shaken by these accusations. She knows that anyone who is offended by her boundaries is exactly the reason she needed them. If you want to step into this power, begin small. Say no when you mean no. Protect your rest. Protect your mental health. Do not entertain relationships that drain you. Slowly, you will notice how your energy returns, how your confidence grows, and how you attract a higher quality of people into your life. A high-value woman does not beg to be understood. She does not explain her boundaries endlessly. She sets them calmly, firmly, and consistently. And in doing so, she sends a clear message to the world: my energy is sacred. If you cannot respect it, you cannot access it. This is the second sign of a high-value woman. She guards her life force with the power of boundaries. A high-value woman does not settle. She understands that life will constantly present her with two paths: the path of comfort and the path of growth. Comfort feels safe, comfort feels easy, comfort feels familiar, but growth is uncomfortable, uncertain, and often painful. And yet, a high-value woman consistently chooses growth. This is what separates her from the average. Most people cling to what is familiar even when it hurts them. They stay in relationships that are toxic because they fear being alone. They stay in jobs that suffocate their spirit because they fear the unknown. They repeat the same cycles year after year because stepping outside their comfort zone feels terrifying. But a high-value woman knows something powerful. Nothing beautiful grows in comfort zones. Flowers do not bloom in stagnant soil. Muscles do not build without resistance. Diamonds do not form without pressure, and character does not develop without struggle. She embraces discomfort because she understands it is the price of transformation. Imagine a woman who chooses to face her fears rather than run from them. Instead of silencing her voice to keep the peace, she speaks her truth. Instead of staying with a man who disrespects her, she walks away, even when it hurts. Instead of wasting her days scrolling through distractions, she uses her time to learn, to build, to create. This is the essence of a high-value woman. She refuses to remain the same. Growth is not glamorous. It is messy. It means crying some nights because you chose to leave behind what no longer serves you. It means feeling lonely because you outgrew people who once felt like family. It means questioning yourself when the world doesn't understand your choices. But through all this, a high-value woman keeps moving forward because she knows that growth is not supposed to be easy. It's supposed to be worth it. This mindset makes her magnetic. Men notice it, women admire it, people respect it, because deep down, everyone wishes they had the courage to grow, to evolve, to rise above mediocrity. When they see a woman living it, they can't help but be drawn to her. She becomes an example, a living reminder that it is possible to transform. And here's the deeper truth: choosing growth is not just about external achievements. It's not just about career success, money, or status. True growth is internal. It is about emotional maturity, self-awareness, and spiritual depth. A high-value woman asks herself tough questions. Am I healing or repeating patterns? Am I learning or staying stuck? Am I moving closer to my purpose or drifting further away? These questions guide her choices, and because she chooses growth, she outgrows fear, she outgrows desperation. She outgrows the need to chase love because she becomes love. She outgrows the need to prove herself because her growth speaks louder than words. When others see obstacles, she sees opportunities. When others see endings, she sees beginnings. When others complain about life being unfair, she asks, what can I learn from this? How can this make me stronger? This mindset makes her unstoppable. Understand this: growth requires sacrifice. You cannot grow and stay comfortable at the same time. You cannot rise while holding on to what drags you down. You cannot evolve while clinging to the past, and a high, you woman knows this. That is why she lets go. That is why she surrenders the good to reach for the great. This is not arrogance. This is not selfishness. This is wisdom, because comfort will keep you alive, but growth will make you truly live. So if you are listening right now, ask yourself, are you living in comfort or are you choosing growth? Are you holding on to relationships, habits, or environments that no longer serve you just because they feel familiar? Or are you willing to take the leap into the unknown, trusting that your wings will grow as you fly? A high-value woman has already answered this question, and her answer is simple. I choose growth, no matter how hard it is, because I refuse to remain small in a world that demands my greatness. This is the third sign of a high-value woman. She embraces discomfort because she knows it is the path to transformation. One of the most powerful signs of a high-value woman is her relationship with solitude. Most people are terrified of being alone. They fill their days with noise, distractions, shallow connections, anything to avoid facing themselves. But a high-value woman is different. She understands that solitude is not loneliness, it is strength. It is clarity, it is peace. When you see a woman who can sit alone in silence without reaching for her phone, without chasing attention, without needing validation, that is a woman who has discovered her own power. She is not desperate for company because she has already made peace with herself. She does not need constant entertainment because her own mind, her own soul, gives her enough richness to live in fullness. This is rare because society conditions women to believe that their value lies in being wanted, that if no one is chasing you, you are not enough, that if you are not in a relationship, you are incomplete. But a high-value woman rejects this narrative. She knows that her worth is not defined by who chooses her, but by who she chooses to become. Solitude gives her strength because it allows her to hear her own voice clearly. In a noisy world filled with opinions, expectations, and pressure, being alone is like a sanctuary. It is where she reconnects with her values, her dreams, her vision. It is where she learns to separate what she truly wants from what the world tells her to want. Many fear solitude because it exposes their wounds. When you are alone, you cannot hide behind people, parties, or relationships. You face your fears, your insecurities, your pain. But instead of running, a high-value woman embraces this process. She uses solitude to heal. She allows silence to teach her. She faces her shadows so that no one else can use them against her. This is why she is emotionally unshakable. When you have sat alone in your darkest nights, when you have faced the storm inside you, what can the world take from you? Nothing. You have already faced yourself. That is the highest form of power. And here's the paradox. Because she values solitude, she actually attracts better relationships. People who fear being alone settle for anyone because they cannot stand silence. But a high-value woman is not afraid of silence. She waits, she chooses carefully. She does not settle for half love or broken attention. She only welcomes people who add to her peace, not take away from it. This makes her rare, and rarity is valuable. A woman who is not desperate to be chosen becomes the one everyone wants to choose, not because she plays games, but because her energy radiates completeness. People can feel it. They can sense that she is not with them out of fear of loneliness, but out of genuine choice. That makes her presence powerful. Imagine the kind of magnetism this creates. Men are used to women who chase them, who compete for attention, who bend their standards out of fear of being alone. But when they meet a high-value woman who is perfectly fine on her own, it shakes them. It forces them to rise to her level if they want a place in her life. And this is the truth. Solitude is not emptiness, it is preparation. It is the training ground where a high-value woman sharpens her mind, strengthens her spirit, and builds her foundation. While others waste time in meaningless connections, she is building herself. And when the right people arrive, she is already whole, already strong, already radiant. Think of solitude like a forge. Metal enters the fire weak, but it comes out unbreakable. A high-value woman enters solitude with wounds, fears, and doubts, but she emerges with wisdom, peace, and unshakable confidence. If you are listening now, ask yourself, do you run from solitude or do you embrace it? Do you fear silence or do you allow it to guide you? Because the quality of your relationship with yourself will always define the quality of your relationship with others. A high-value woman has mastered this truth. She is never desperate, never lost in the crowd, never begging for validation. She is grounded, centered, and complete. This is the fourth sign of a high-value woman. She treasures solitude because she knows that peace within creates power without. There is something almost unexplainable about the presence of a high-value woman. When she enters a room, she doesn't need to shout. She doesn't need to beg. She doesn't need to demand attention, yet people feel her energy. Respect flows toward her naturally because she embodies it within herself. Most people confuse respect with fear. They think respect comes from forcing others to acknowledge them, from power plays, from dominance. But that is not respect, that is control. True respect is not demanded, it is earned, and a high-value woman earns it not by controlling others, but by controlling herself. She carries herself with dignity. Her words are measured, not careless. She speaks with clarity, not with desperation. She does not gossip. She does not waste her energy tearing others down, because she understands that a woman who truly respects herself has no time for pettiness. Respect begins with self-respect, and this is why the high-value woman is different. She knows her worth, and she refuses to accept less than she deserves. Not out of arrogance, but out of deep awareness that her time, her heart, her energy are sacred. If someone disrespects her boundaries, she does not beg them to change. She simply walks away. If someone tries to play games with her emotions, she does not lower herself to their level. She rises above. And here is the paradox. The moment you stop chasing respect from others is the moment they begin to give it to you. Why? Because people always mirror the way you treat yourself. If you accept disrespect, they will continue to give it. But if you set a standard and hold it firmly, they will either rise to meet it or remove themselves from your life. Either way, you win. The high-value woman understands this truth at the core of her being. That is why she is unshakable. She does not explain herself endlessly. She does not try to convince anyone of her value. She lives it, and the world responds. Think about it. Why do some women always find themselves in cycles of disrespect, betrayal, and disappointment? Because they confuse attention with respect. They accept breadcrumbs, thinking it is love. They let others walk over them, thinking it is kindness. But a high-value woman knows better. She knows that respect is the foundation of any healthy relationship, whether romantic, professional, or social. Without respect, there is nothing, and because she commands respect, her relationships are different. Men who approach her know they cannot play the usual games, they must come correct, or not at all. Friends know they cannot betray her trust and expect another chance. Colleagues know they cannot take advantage of her silence because she will speak when it matters. She doesn't need to raise her voice, her energy is enough. She doesn't need to argue for hours, her silence speaks louder. She doesn't need to chase anyone, her absence is felt more than her presence could ever be. That is the power of respect, earned through self-respect. Let me tell you this, when a woman carries herself like this, the entire world treats her differently. Doors open, opportunities come. People remember her not because she begged for attention, but because she stood tall in her truth. This respect she commands is not rooted in fear. It is rooted in admiration. People admire a woman who knows who she is, who refuses to bend under pressure, who values herself enough to set the standard. They admire it because it is rare. Most live their lives bending, chasing, lowering themselves for crumbs of attention. So when they meet a woman who refuses to do that, they cannot help but respect her. And here's the truth. Commanding respect is not about perfection. A high-value woman is not flawless. She makes mistakes. She has scars. She has wounds. But what makes her powerful is that she does not let these things lower her standard. She owns her flaws without shame and still moves with grace. That combination of vulnerability and strength makes her unforgettable. If you are listening right now, remember this. Respect is never given freely. It is reflected. The world will treat you the way you treat yourself. So stop begging for respect from others. Start giving it to yourself. Stop lowering your standards. Stop tolerating what hurts your soul. Stop explaining yourself to people committed to misunderstanding you. A high-value woman doesn't waste energy forcing people to see her worth. She knows that those who can see it will never need convincing, and those who cannot see it do not deserve a place in her life. This is the fifth sign of a high-value woman. She commands respect without ever demanding it, because the way she honors herself teaches the world exactly how to honor her. Final sign of a high-value woman is perhaps the most beautiful of all. Wherever she goes, she inspires growth. Not through lectures, not through commands, not by trying to change people, but simply by being who she is. Her presence alone makes people want to become better. Think about this carefully. Many people live their lives complaining about others, pointing out flaws, trying to control or fix the people around them. They push, they nag, they demand, but it rarely creates true change. Why? Because real transformation does not come from pressure, it comes from inspiration. And a high-value woman embodies this truth effortlessly. When she enters a man's life, she does not need to tell him to rise. He feels it. He sees the way she carries herself, the way she respects herself, the way she sets her standards, and something inside him wakes up. He realizes he cannot remain ordinary in her presence. He realizes he must step into his higher self to stand beside her. And this is the mark of a high-value woman. She doesn't beg a man to change, she inspires him too. But it's not just about men. Her friendships are different too. Her friends know that gossip and negativity cannot survive around her. They either grow with her or drift away. Her colleagues know they cannot stay stagnant around her. Her discipline and work ethic push them to do better. Even strangers, after a single conversation with her, leave feeling a little more alive, a little more hopeful, a little more aware of their own potential. This kind of inspiration does not come from perfection. It comes from authenticity. A high-value woman is not pretending to be strong. She is strong because she has faced pain, loss, and failure, and she chose growth instead of bitterness. People feel this truth in her energy. She is not faking wisdom, she has earned it. She is not faking peace, she has built it within herself after storms. This is why her presence is powerful, because it is real, because it is rooted in lived experience. And let me tell you something, this is rare. The world is full of people who drain energy, people who spread negativity, who complain, who remain stuck in cycles of self-pity. So when someone meets a woman who lifts energy, who spreads light, who inspires growth, it feels unforgettable. They want to keep her in their life, not because of what she gives them materially, but because of who she makes them become. But here's the key, a high-value woman does not carry this responsibility as a burden. She does not walk around trying to save everyone. She knows that not everyone is ready for growth, and she respects that. If someone is committed to staying the same, she lets them go. Her energy is not wasted on convincing, her energy is invested in becoming. And by becoming, she naturally transforms the lives of those ready to grow. This is where her true legacy lies, because years later, people who crossed paths with her will remember not just what she said, but how she made them feel. They will remember that her presence awakened something in them. They will remember that she raised the standard in their lives. That is the mark of a high-value woman. She leaves people better than she found them, and here is something important. She inspires growth not just outwardly, but inwardly too. She never stops growing herself. She never becomes stagnant. She invests in her mind, her spirit, her skills. She reads, she learns, she evolves. She understands that growth is a lifelong journey, and because she embodies it, she inspires others to embrace it too. If you are listening right now, I want you to ask yourself, when people leave your presence, do they feel drained or do they feel lifted? Do they feel smaller or do they feel expanded? Do they feel hopeless or do they feel inspired? Because the answer to this question determines the energy you are carrying into the world. The high-value woman knows the answer. She has chosen to be a source of growth, not by pretending, but by becoming. And this is why she is unforgettable, why she is magnetic, why she is respected, not just in her relationships, but in every aspect of her life. This is the seventh and final sign. She inspires growth everywhere she goes, because she understands that her life is not just about her own success, but about the impact she leaves behind in the hearts and souls of others. My sisters listening right now, remember this. Being a high-value woman is not about money, beauty, or popularity. It is about your soul, your energy, your choices. It is about deciding every single day that you will no longer shrink yourself to fit into a world that does not see your worth. Yes, people will misunderstand you. Yes, some men will be intimidated. Yes, some friends will leave. But that is not your loss, it is theirs, because you are stepping into a level of strength, grace, and wisdom that very few dare to reach. Carry yourself with pride, set your standards high, protect your energy, and never forget. You are not ordinary. You are chosen to inspire, to elevate, to transform. Walk like a queen, speak with wisdom, love with depth, and the world will rise to meet you. If this message touched your heart, then do not keep it to yourself. Like this video, share it with someone who needs it, and leave a comment below telling me, which sign do you see in yourself today? And if you want more powerful wisdom, make sure you subscribe and join this journey of growth, because together we rise. Herb sparkles.